Welcome. We're going to get the meeting started now. Thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Ryan Bell, and I'm currently the second vice chair of the chamber. Normally the chair, who's Michael John Coy, would be chairing this meeting, but he's unable to be here tonight. So it's my pleasure to act as chair in his place. We thought about how that was going to work. I had suggested maybe that I would work on a Michael John impression, but for various reasons that's not going to work. I couldn't find a suit that was quite as snazzy as something Michael John would wear, and the impression's not really all that good yet, so I think I'll debut it in front of a smaller crowd. One housekeeping item, I'm told that the bar will be open until 9, so if anyone needs a beverage at any point during the meeting, feel free to go get one. And since it is now shortly after 7 o'clock, we will call the annual general meeting to order. Monica Shepley, the Chamber's Manager of Advocacy and Policy Development, is going to be taking meetings tonight, so thank you, Monica. And during tonight's proceedings, any one person representing a member in good standing of the Chamber is eligible to vote. So a voting card has been given to each member present, and you may vote by raising the green card in the air. Raise it high enough so that we can see it and we can count it, but you don't need to dislocate your shoulder or anything, so kind of mid-level is all right. To assist Monica with her minute taking, I'd ask that anyone moving or seconding a motion please stand so that you can be recognized and then state your name. So it's my pleasure to now recognize your 2017 executive officers and board directors. So please call as I stand your name. First, we'll start with the executive officers from the previous year. And Michael John Coy, the chair from RBC Wealth Management, is again not able to be here today. He may be standing somewhere, but we don't know. Charles Fisher, first vice chair. Charles, we'd like you to stand. Charles from Main Street Credit Union. Myself, Ryan Bell, I'm the second vice chair. I'm with George Murray Shipley Bell. Mary Jean O'Donnell, Honorary Secretary Treasurer from MJ Waste Solutions, and Mark Lumley, past president from Fairwind Farms. Next, I'd like to recognize our 2017 directors, and in no particular order, we have Karen Sanders from Lambton Federation of Agriculture, and there she is. Matt Berube from Lead Wave Technologies. Kathleen Mundy from Lamb Inc. and Little Caesars. And we have Mike Service, Certified Windows and Doors. Stephen Thompson, Sarnia Lambton Economic Partnership. John McEachran, we have him listed here as an entrepreneur, but he wears many hats. Curtis Gray from Lambton College. Bevan Perdue, who I don't believe is here tonight, and she was with Young Professionals. And Joyce Doyle, also not here tonight. She was the liaison from the Blue Water Chamber of Commerce. And of course, our president and CEO, Shirley De Silva. So, we'll move on with some of the official business now. Is any of this stuff supposed to be on the screen, or does everyone have a package? There are copies on all the tables. Okay, I should have looked more closely at my table before I stood up here. I'd like to draw your attention first to the minutes from our last AGM on February 24th, 2017. And I will, assuming everybody has had a chance to review those minutes, at least those of you who are at that meeting, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved, Mayor Jean O'Donnell.
Do I have a seconder?
No second.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments on the minutes from last year's meeting? Okay then, all in favor, please raise your hand. And all opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. Next, we have a slate of reports. And for efficiency, after these reports are given, we're going to consider them with one motion. We're going to start with the chair's report, and then we'll follow with the president and CEO's report, and then finally, Mary Jean O'Donnell and Hugh McDonough Little-Taylor, the accountants, will present the financial report. As I've mentioned, Michael John is not here today, so we're going to be trying something new, and he's going to be presenting via a pre-recorded video message that he's made for all of us. I don't think anyone's seen it yet, so it's going to be a surprise. And we'll just ask for a minute or two as Anna is going to help get the technical things set up here so that we can watch the video. Would maybe turn the light down?
There we go.
Looking back over the past year, I'm struck by the tremendous challenges that we as a business community have had to contend with. The province increased the minimum wage and introduced new scheduling costs and constraints. The quick rollout and the administrative burden risks hampering growth, and as a chamber we continue to call for rethinking these measures. Another challenge came from the federal government's proposed business tax measures. Because of the fierce opposition, the government backed off some of its proposals, but others remain. And on these and other issues, the Sarnia Lambton Chamber has been able to present a constructive business perspective. At the same time, I'm deeply encouraged by clear signs of economic growth in our community. I'm especially encouraged by the strength of our organization to bring forward fresh thinking and robust advocacy on behalf of our members. In May, our chamber hosted the AGM of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Delegates discovered that we are a forward-thinking and diverse community at the forefront of bio-based research and environmentally responsible development of the petrochemical industry. The Premier, too, heard that message. Dancers of Aamjiwnaang and Kettle and Stony Point First Nations performed a traditional welcome. Many delegates said they were deeply moved. A wide range of volunteers and supporters across the organization helped make the event a huge success, and we owe them a deep debt of gratitude. Locally, the Chamber has hosted successful Business After 5 events, as well as the blockbuster Outstanding Business Achievement Awards in June. We've also engaged our municipal leaders in constructive dialogue, ensuring that our community continues to advance a supportive business agenda. Our core strength as an organization is our attention to our members' needs. We're now even better positioned to deliver on that. Our CEO, Shirley De Silva, leads a dedicated team. Monica Shepley on advocacy, Kim Innes-Peterson on member support. Shirley has developed a new communication plan, and again she delivered a budget surplus. As for the board, we remain deeply committed to our strategic plan objectives, increasing member engagement, shaping the future through advocacy, ensuring financial stability, and enhancing corporate excellence. The year ahead is exciting. With the announcement of the NOVA expansion, new investments in bioinnovation, the expansion of Lambton College, as well as growth in the housing sector, Sarnia Lambton will more than ever need the diversity, dedication, and agility of the small and medium-sized enterprises we represent. Our new advocacy teams will focus on improving the airport, identifying opportunities for youth, and building a culture of entrepreneurship. We can't stand still. I'd like to thank Shirley and her team for their tireless work on behalf of our members. I'd also like to thank fellow board members for their dedication. Let me thank our volunteers who give of their time and expertise to help make Sarnia Lambton a community we all want to do business in. It's been a pleasure to serve as chair of the Sarnia Lambton Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Michael John. Now I will ask our President and CEO, Shirley De Silva, to come up and give her report.
Thank you very much, Ryan. When I came to Sarnia 2 years ago to join the Sarnia Lambton Chamber of Commerce, I really didn't know what to expect. A lot of colleagues told me that the region was small, rural, that it was dependent on one industry sector. So I wasn't quite sure. But shortly after my arrival, I realized there was much more to this region and its communities. And today I can see Sarnia Lambton as a place that I can really feel proud to call home. I shared the story because in the coming year, demonstrating why this chamber and this region is important, coming year, demonstrating why this chamber and regent is important, is at the very top of my personal priorities list. Every year, as we look ahead to what the Sarnia Lambton Chamber of Commerce hopes to accomplish, we also reflect on what has helped define our progress. I'm excited because in the course of the past year, our board of directors has come together to update our vision, purpose, and strategic direction. We've made major adjustments that have allowed us to look forward in a way that maintains our historical leadership role. This became evident in the development of a new strategic plan that focuses on our value proposition for members and shifts our advocacy agenda towards a highly local constituency, that being our local communities. I'm also excited to help launch a more forward-thinking approach for our organization, the ability to adapt to new realities faced by the chambers across Canada was part of that exercise, and I believe we are now seeing positive evidence resulting from those discussions. It's an initiative that we have become good at because several times over the years we have successfully adapted, reacting to challenges, and responding effectively. I'm sorry, I'm just going to back off my mic a little. I can certainly tell you with certainty that I'm proud of my team in their resilience and dedication to working together. And I'm happy to say your chamber is doing well. I'm going to take a moment now just to point out the members of the team that are here. So maybe they can stand. Monica Shepley, who's on advocacy. Kim Innes Peterson, who's on membership engagement. Anna Daly, who is our IT person and administration. We also have Diane Nadeau, but she is working remotely for the rest of the winter. So thank you, everyone. We have established new, more flexible and nimble ways of incorporating local business insights to advocate on positions that are key to the future of our region, with the help of an advisory team and task force. This new way of taking the place of the membership has allowed us to act quickly and with strategic prowess as we respond to actions taken by various levels of government. It's all part of our role, scanning the landscape that our members face each and every day. We also strengthen our communication efforts and plan to continue doing so. We're continuing to adapt as we take advantage of the strong relationships that we have within the chamber networks, both provincially and federally across the province. Through the year, we have arranged various roundtable events, town halls, focusing on issues such as the cost of electricity, cap and trade, the corporate tax changes, and Bill 148. We also continue the tradition of participating at Advocacy Day at Queen's Park, of attending and presenting resolutions at the Canadian and Ontario Chamber of Commerce, AGMs and forums, and presented to the Standing Committee on Finance and Economic Affairs on behalf of the members. In addition, we welcomed more than 200 participants from across Ontario at Sarnia Lambton as we hosted the Ontario Chamber of Commerce Annual General Meeting and Conference. We honored more than 60 local businesses at our Outstanding Business Awards Gala to a sold-out crowd. That, combined with a litany of other legislative initiatives that affect our businesses every day, made for a very active 2017. Looking ahead, we will continue to advocate on key issues, activities that defines what it means to strengthen our business community and keep members abreast of changes that impact them through our communication channels. One thing is clear, your chamber has a rich history of being able to adapt. The organization in the face of change, connecting to our members and taking advantage of new opportunities. Just know that everything we do starts with the business community in mind, and we will adjust our focus to meet the needs of our members. Entering into our 113th year, I hope I've got that right, 113 year. We're more determined than ever to serve as the voice of the business community and be the catalyst empowering businesses to succeed. Let me offer my congratulations to all our members for their successes, and thank you to the business community for working with and through the chamber this past year, and I'm really excited about the future. So thank you, everyone, board members, staff, sponsors, partners, and volunteers for giving so much. You deserve credit as we undertake this tremendous journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Next, I'd like to invite our Honorable Secretary Treasurer, Mary Jean O'Donnell, and Hume McDonough, Little, and Taylor, Annette Little and Mike McDonough to present the financial statements.
Thanks, Ryan. So I'm, as the Honorable Secretary Treasurer, presenting Annette and Mike, and they're going to speak to the audited financial reports, which turned out they're wonderful. I'll give them the floor.
Good evening, everyone. As was said, my name is Mike McDonough. I'm from Hume McDonough Little Taylor. I'm here with my partner, Annette Little, who we both basically worked on the audit together, which is a bit unusual, but we see this as an important engagement, and the timeline's a little tight, so the two of us worked together to make sure we had everything ready to be here tonight to have the opportunity to present the financial statements to you. We'd like to before we get too far into it, thank Shirley and her staff. They certainly made our job easy. Just from before we get into the dollars and cents, from a systems point of view, the Chamber does have excellent systems and internal controls in place. Those systems are being utilized properly. And therefore, it was easy for us to get the information that we required, and we didn't observe any significant deficiencies, not even any real minor deficiencies as far as that goes. We'd also like to thank the Board of Directors and also the membership for the opportunity to be here tonight. So I'm going to start, there's a set of draft financial statements should be set on the table in front of you. And I'm just going to hit some highlights here. If anybody has any questions as we're moving along, we can certainly address those. So firstly, we're going to go to page 1, which is the audit opinion, and it is an unqualified or clean audit opinion. The very final paragraph, basically it summarizes, it says, in our opinion, these financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the Sarnia Lambton Chamber of Commerce at December 31, 2017, which is assets, liabilities, and equity, and the results of its operations and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for nonprofit organizations. The Chamber is, of course, a nonprofit. There is a different accounting and reporting framework that is applied to nonprofits as opposed to private sector enterprises, so that's why that's specifically disclosed there. Moving to page 3, which is in business speak, the income statement or statement of operations. It was a very consistent year in terms of the very bottom line. You had as was mentioned earlier, a small surplus of $8,485 as opposed to $7,848 in the prior year. In the nonprofit world, your objective is not to have a profit, but not to have a significant deficit either. So basically the goal is to utilize all of your resources to the maximum in order to fulfill your mandate and pursue your mission. So you certainly did that again this year, and we have, this is our second year doing the audit, and as I said, it's very consistent. It's maybe a little bit boring, but boring sometimes good in terms of doing things consistently and properly. On the revenue side of things, there was, things were pretty consistent other than membership revenue did drop a bit from $324,000 to $285,000 in 2017. We did notice the office rental revenues did increase by $10,000. The remaining revenues remained pretty consistent. It should be noted that in terms of actual numbers, the number of members increased by 46, which you may ask, well, why are your membership revenues down when actual membership numbers are up? And that's because of the revenue mix. As you know, the membership dues are largely derived by the number of employees that a particular member has, so there is a bit of a shift going on towards more numerous members but with lesser employees. On the expense side, you'll notice that advertising went from 17 to 34,000, basically doubled. That was a strategic decision made by the board and management, basically to get out there and talk to members and potential members and show that the chamber is a real value proposition to its membership. The other major difference in expenses was salaries and benefits were down by $39,000 as a position remained vacant for about 3/4 of the year. So in very broad terms, revenues were down by about 40,000, expenses were down by about that same amount, such that the bottom line is previous. Next, I'd ask you to refer to page 11, the very final page. This summarizes the various business development activities that were undertaken by the Chamber this year. You will notice the showcase really shouldn't even be there. There was a little bit of a hangover from the prior year in 2016. There was no golf tournament this year. The Outstanding Business Achievement Awards obviously produce a large surplus of almost $50,000, and that's an event that the business community and the community in general obviously embraces. It's out there. You hear a lot about it. And lastly, I want to refer you to page 2, which is the balance sheet or statement of financial position. And quite simply, the balance sheet's basically your, if you want to think of it, a personal net worth statement or a net worth statement for the organization at the end of the year. You will notice, once again, things are pretty steady. Total assets at the end of the year were $837,000 as opposed to $830,000 the year prior. One point of note in the assets section is the property and equipment at $668,000. That's the cost of your assets, the major one, of course, being your real estate, less any depreciation. The market value of that particular property is probably higher, so these statements are not reflective of that, but that's how generally accepting accounting principles are employed with respect to properties. On the liability side, there's nominal liabilities of $21,000 versus $23,000. So the difference between your assets at $837 and your liabilities at $21,000 is your equity, which is $815,000. So the organization's very healthy from an equity point of view. It's approaching $1 million in equity. So you're well positioned going forward in terms of having the assets and resources you need to continue to undertake to fulfill your mandate. That's pretty much all I had to say. I don't know if Annette had anything to add. Nope.
Set it up.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Can people hear me unmiked? Any questions for the auditors? One.
We were not engaged to do that. I know management actively does that, and one of the items I did speak to is there was a significant, or basically a doubling in the amount of advertising or member engagement, and I believe that's largely as a result of this chamber looking at what other chambers are doing and also looking at what the local community would like to see the chamber do. And the chamber is very proactive in terms of trying to react to the changing business world. The chamber is operating in the same business world all the rest of us are. Things are happening much more quickly. Technology's changing the way we think and do business. Engaged to do that type of thing. I know it's being done at a management and board level.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Brian just asked me if there were any other questions. I'm all, yeah, that was good. It was a question. Sorry. Being none, okay.
Okay.
Michael,
Okay. Thank you, Mike and Annette and Mary Jean. So we've heard three reports there, the chair's report, the president's report, and the report of the secretary treasurer, including the financial report from the auditors. So what we'd like to have now is a motion to approve the reports, all three of them together. Yes. Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, sir. Are there any questions or comments or discussion? All right, seeing none, can I have a vote then? Raise your hand, all in favor? And all opposed? Okay, that motion is carried. So, we are moving on to new business now, and I would once again like to bring Mary Jean up with respect to the first order of new business.
So I think, it looks like there's some new faces, so I'm not sure who were here last year. But last year, we actually agreed that we would keep the auditors on till 2021. So at this time, there is no motion required to appoint the new auditors because we're going to roll with our chosen auditors until 2021. Any questions on that? Seeing none, I thank you.
Everybody's very agreeable tonight. That's wonderful. Next, we are going to bring up the next order of business with respect to the nominating committee for new members of the board. So I would ask Charles Fisher, chair of the nominating committee, to come up and deliver the report of the nominating committee.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Charles Fisher. I'm vice chair of the nominating committee. Part of my role as vice chair is to hopefully recruit and convince many new people to come on board to the chamber, which I know many of the people have had the experience of serving here. And I will read the report of the committee. The nominating committee of the chamber undertook a recruitment campaign in late 2017 to find new board directors for the board. We found 6 professionals from the Sarnia Lambton area that cover a wide spectrum of industry and skill sets. The committee has met with each candidate and reviewed applications to ensure diligence and all selection criteria has been met. Further, an introductory meeting was held with all candidates to review duties of the board, the strategic plan, our new communications plan, policies of the chamber, and to answer any questions. After doing this, the committee is recommending to membership of the chamber that all 6 candidates as specified be accepted for the 2018-19 year for their respective term of office. Laura Hanlon, if you could rise as well. Laura Hanlon, who is from MPW, I'm sorry. Andrew Merrick, Rose Paving. Karen Fisher, RK Fisher and Associates. She is absent this evening due to other commitments. Tammy Muir, London Road Pharmacy. Thank you. Judy McKeegan, DW International, I believe. Oh, she's here. Thank you. And Jean Exu from Imperial Oil. Thank you. Now I will call Ryan back up to carry out the motion.
Okay. All right, well, you've heard the recommendations of the nominating committee, so now to place nominations for the board of directors for the following year. Now we have to ask if there's any nominations from the floor for potential directors. And there usually aren't, so we don't wait forever. So seeing no other nominations, I'm going to ask for a motion to elect the persons recommended by the nominating committee, those 6 names that you heard.
I'm J.D. Booth with Lambton Shield Publishing. I move that the following members in good standing be elected for a 3-year term of office to the Board of Directors of the Sarnia Lambton Chamber of Commerce. Jean Shu, Judy McKeegan, Laura Hanlon, Karen Fisher, Andrew Merrick, and Tammy Moore for a 2-year term.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion?
Mary Jean, a second. Oh, sorry. There you go.
We've got more than one seconder, so that's an excellent sign. Thank you, sir. Okay, all those in favor? And all opposed? All right, that motion is carried. So now it will be my pleasure to introduce our 2018 executive, and we will have a swearing-in ceremony for the executive. So it's our pleasure to have Her Honor Justice Deborah Austin attend our annual general meeting to officiate at the swearing-in. This is something that's required by the rather archaic Board of Trades Act, that we are sworn in by a Justice of the Peace. And we're pleased to have her once again this year to take time out of her schedule to do this. So the proposed slate of officers for 2018 has been approved by the Board of Directors and consists of people who have taken the path through the board and you know, through the board up through the ranks of the executive. And is that Charles Fisher, outgoing first chair, would become the chair. Myself, as second vice chair, would move into the position of first vice chair. Mary Jean O'Donnell would become the second vice chair. We will have a third vice chair this year, hopefully, which would be Mike Service. Kathleen Mundy has volunteered to come on as the honorary secretary treasurer. And Michael John Coy would move to the position of past chair. Reading through my stuff here. So I believe we need a motion, even though it's not on my agenda, to accept the proposed slate. I'm told that we don't. So we don't. We simply need Her Honor to come and swear those people in. They've already been elected as members of the board, so thank you very much. May I have those executives come forward?
That's what I was going to say. We need the executive officers. We need each and every one of you. That's right, who are here. So, so the way I think we're going to do this is if you can just repeat after me in unison all together. We're not going to do, you know, a series of oaths. You're making a solemn affirmation or oath, and we'll just repeat after me together. I swear that I will faithfully and truly perform. I swear that I will faithfully and truly perform my duties with the Sarnia Lambton Chamber of Commerce. My duties with the Sarnia Lambton Chamber of Commerce. And that I will in all matters. Connected with the
discharge of such duty.
Do all things and such things only.
Do all things and such things only.
As I shall truly and conscientiously believe.
As I truly, conscientiously believe.
To be adapted to promote the objects.
To be adapted to promote the objects.
For which the said chamber was constituted.
For which the said chamber was constituted.
According to the true intent and meaning of same.
According to the intent and true meaning of the same.
Pretty good. All right, so now I just need each of you to sign here where your name is.
Okay. Seriously, we can't just fix that now.
Yeah, you could rewrite that sometime. Yeah. Okay. You?
Yeah, luckily it's not in Latin.
I know, it was almost.
Thank you. Thank you.
So they're official. All right, so congratulations, and I guess, hope you have a good year.
Before you leave, we do, as the Chamber would like to thank you. We have a small gift for Her Honor for taking time out of her schedule to come and do this for us today, which she's done a few years, at least as long as I've been serving on the board. So we thank you very much. Okay, well, we're pleased to continue on then and introduce the remaining slate of directors for the year. And I know some of you have already stood, but we'll have you stand one more time just so we can have some final recognition. First, one of our new directors, Jean Shu. Thank you. John McEachran, returning director. We have Junie McKeegan, another one of our new directors. Laura Hanlon, also new director. Karen Fisher. Oh, she's not here. She is a new director. Curtis Gray, returning. Tammy Maurer. I'm apologizing if I didn't get that right more. Andrew Merrick. And ex officio directors on the board, we have Joyce Doyle, who's not here tonight, from the Blue Water Chamber of Commerce. Karen Saunders, actually she is here tonight, from the Lambton Federation of Agriculture. And we have Stephen Thompson from the Sarnia Lambton Economic Partnership. And of course, we have Shirley De Silva, our president and CEO, who also is an ex officio member of the board and the executive. So it's my honor to present the 2018 executive and the full slate of the board of directors. So this ends my time up here as chair of this meeting. But before I pass on the mic to our incoming chair, Charles, I wanted to mention two things to look for this year. And I hope I'm not repeating anything that Charles is going to say. First, the governance committee has undertaken a thorough review of all of the chamber's bylaws, which should be done periodically. As I mentioned, that we are governed by a rather archaic form of legislation that hasn't changed all that much, so we're not really affected by the new incoming not-for-profit legislation, but it's still a good time to look at everything and make sure that everything's in order. We do anticipate that there's going to be some recommended changes put forward by the committee, and we anticipate that sometime in the next few months there'll be notice, probably in the newsletter, maybe by email, notifying members that there are some new draft bylaws to be reviewed, and there'll be a consultation period before there would be a special meeting to vote on any potential changes. So that's just something to look for. And second, I'm pleased to be on the golf committee, and as you heard, the golf committee, the golf tournament did not take place last year. It was a calculated decision. There was a little bit of fatigue due to the amount of effort that our volunteers and staff put into hosting the OCC, and the golf tournament didn't happen last year, but we're hoping it will be back and stronger than ever this year. So mark on your calendars the date of August 15th and start practicing. We hope it's going to be a really good event. So I will now, I'm now very pleased to hand the mic over to our incoming chair, Charles Fisher.
Thank you, everybody. I'm up here way quicker than I thought I would be. I've only been on the board a couple years. I've been involved with the chamber for almost 10, but I've only been on the board 2. I got on and somehow I got catapulted up the chain a little fast. But I'm looking at the exuberance Mark is showing because this is his last commitment after about a 10-year long. I think we've been involved with the chamber about the same amount of time, just he's been a little more involved through a little bit more turbulent times. But I will say, starting the chamber, the renewal process in the chamber is really starting to show fruit. We have a new strategic plan. We have a new communications plan. As many things with organizations, communications is your key so that people know what you're doing. We are a reflection of our community and the members that we serve, but the only way they know we're adding value is by communicating with them. So part of the renewal is also we have 6 new directors, which is almost half of our board. And all of this is happening at a new time where we have financial stability. We're renting out the top of the building at the chamber. As the auditor said earlier, we have almost $1 million in strength. Our bottom line is positive every year for the last couple years. We have looked at really focusing our next few years on adding value to membership, because like most people, a lot of people are asking, why do I join the chamber? What's value? And a lot of it is because they do not know what we do. So there's all this exciting stuff going on, and I happen to be along for the ride, and I hope I can move it my, couple yards and then hand it off to the capable leadership that's going to hopefully help me this year get it there. A few things I'd like to do is, who is a past Yep, just stand. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, yeah. Also, please stand if you are a past board member, not currently servicing. Okay, so you have some past, almost every event we go to, we try and recognize past contribution and leadership in the community. So if you could give the past leadership a round of applause, that would be great. Thank you very kindly. I mean, that's a small token. I do encourage everyone, look at our strategic plan, look at our communication plan. Please let us know what's going on. The Chamber is only a strength of the collective it serves through its membership and its community. My philosophy has always been if we can grow business, grow jobs, we grow the community. I've lived in Sarnia my whole life in Lambton County. I grew up in the county, I live in the city, but the population's been the same my whole life. So, I mean, I drastically want to see us, you know, we are making some positive contributions, but we still have a lot of work to do. We have started a task force structure in the community to try and resolve local issues, to do more local things on the ground. That's one thing we heard that was not being done at a great enough depth. So we're looking at things like airport renewal, small business support, digital outreach so that there's more continuity out in the county and other places. The one I sit on is student and newcomer retention. We actually are applying for a grant to help do that. So there's lots of things on the ground the Chamber is doing, and we encourage you and other people you may know, if they have a passion about these issues or another one, please approach us and we will try and support or lead a cause to help the community respond to that issue. So I know it's a tall order. Shirley's got her hands full with many of the things we're going on, but we are not fighting any internal issues. We're very strong. We're financially sound. We're adding more value every day. I was at my lawyer's getting my will up done, and he said, oh, I had to join the Chamber to get the group plan because he was a small business provider and he couldn't get a group plan. But a condition of the benefits of the Chamber's extra benefits is you have to be a member. So whether it's supporting you as a member through that or the Business After Fives, or larger issues like carbon tax and Bill 148, I mean, all these things are coming. We either try and alter the issues or we try and cushion the blow to business, because we know a lot of the issues we can't fight. You have to work with it. So whether it's a federal issue, a provincial issue, we also have deep roots with the Blue Water Chamber of Commerce. As first vice chair, I got to sit on that all of last year. And they've grown their membership probably 10 or 20% in the last year. But they're very proactive as well. So we have this 100-year history with them where we get to share with each other. And that is a unique relationship in Canada, let alone Ontario. I think the Windsor Chamber does it. There might be one or two other chambers, but very few have that relationship. And that's something that we cherish and we build on. So again, we're looking to be open, and if we highly encourage you to be engaged. And again, reach out to staff or the board, and we will try and respond the best we can. We're like the small engine that could. There's great things happening. You just got to wait and see, and you know, I challenge you to get involved. If you don't see what you want, let us know, and if you do see what you want, help make it bigger. But please tell the secret. Don't keep it a secret. One of the things I've learned with being on the Chamber for the last 10 years is many of the successes in the community started there. Lambton College, the first high school, the first YMCA, Save the Rail, Save the Jail. In our strategic plan, one of the things we did is we came up, we are the nexus of business. And what that means is we are the enabler or the point of focus to start something good. Where the message gets lost for the Chamber is most of these successes grow to fruition, but then the Chamber's it's kind of like hatches the egg, and then as the project develops, the Chamber loses the leadership role. But a lot of the good things in the community that has started at the Chamber, because it is the only organization that can be a neutral body with business. It's not government, it's not a particular business, and it's not a nonprofit. It's the only organization that can harness the community to bring it together and start something. So whether it's, you know, another Lambton College, or even the ideas of the research park 25 years ago, a lot of it was a discussion at the Chamber. So, you know, the Save the Jail, the Save the Rail, a lot of these ideas started at the Chamber. Now, whether the chamber leads it or supports it, it is still a crucial ingredient to make things a success. So if there's other issues that need to be addressed that we're not addressing, let us know. But please support the chamber and buy your memberships and get involved. We all need to grow the community, okay? Thank you. And that's my little 5-second speech. Sorry about taking too long. Anyways, to keep progressing with the night here, I'm going to try and stick to the agenda now because I probably took up too much time, is moving to congratulate some of our retiring and past directors. So probably the first one we need to address is our past chair, because Mark thinks he's going to get away because he's past chair and he can retire, but we're still going to call on him because the nice little nebulous is past chairs never get to retire. They're always available on speed dial. You know, whether you need them, they always get to come back, right? But anyways, we do have a few awards for some past directors. I don't know, are we going to take some pictures, Shirley, or are we just handing out awards, or are we, I'm not sure if the dialogue. We did talk about some pictures, and I don't know if we're doing that or if we're just doing some awards here. But come on up, Mark.
Take a picture.
Come on over here. We were going to do it in front of the thing.
First of all, welcome, Mr. Goodbye.
No, once you're in, you're never out. Gotta look more, yeah, just take, yeah, Anna's right there. That's okay. Do you want to go with the awards, Shirley, or? Yeah, all right. Come on, bring the picture, Chris. Yeah, go ahead. But you do them all on three. Yes, yes. Another one, Bevan Perdue is our young professionals liaison. She is not able to attend tonight, but she has served the board in a very well capacity. Matt Berube, who is the owner of Leadway, come on up. Here's a small business success that we need to replicate in Sarnia many times. He's growing his business very rapidly, even outside of Lambton County, and he's a hardened chamber supporter, and we want to see more success. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have other directors that have resigned for various reasons during the year. Stefan Tipvo, he's went to be the clerk at the county, so he ended up resigning in his transition to a new role. Abdul Yonas and Greg Holmes, we would like to thank them for their past service. Are we missing? Oh, George Millay. He's retired from SLEP, which was an ex officio role. He helped serve Sarnia Lambton in I want to say a very secret invisible hand capacity. There's many things George did that a lot of people do not know behind the scenes. A lot of the successes at Lambton College and the Research Park and many other things had a little hand from George. I worked for the county for 8 years, so there is a lot of things that George did behind the scenes, so we do owe him a lot of gratitude for current successes we do have. Is there any others, or is that? I think that was it. If there's anyone else, I please apologize, because I'm trying to capture all the names of past, new, who's here, who's not, and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, okay, we will keep going on with other business. Is there anyone I'm missing? Anyone at all? Okay. Again, the staff, hope, please keep going on with the enthusiastic record, because there's lots of achievements still left to come, even though we've done a lot so far. I think what I'll do is I'll get Shirley to come up, and we're probably going to flip to our guest speakers so we can have some highlights from our two speakers. One is local and one is from out of town. But they are both important business issues for Sarnia, so I will leave it to Shirley. Thank you very kindly.
So thank you, Charles. Our first guest speaker tonight is Dr. Catherine Albion. So thank you, Catherine, for accepting to come here. Catherine is the Executive Director of Western Sarnia Lambton Research Park that attracts and supports the creation of new businesses in emerging technology sector, resulting in new opportunities for research, commercialization, and innovation at the Research Park and in the Sarnia Lambton region. She joined the Research Park in 2008 as commercialization and research engineer In 2012, Catherine became the director of the Research Park's Commercialization Center and was responsible for Canada's largest clean tech incubator, focused on industrial technology, including fuels, products, and processes. She's a graduate from Western University, where she received a bachelor's degree in biochemical and environmental engineering and a PhD in chemical engineering. Quite impressive, huh? Please join me in welcoming Dr. Albion.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Shirley, for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'll just give you an overview of the Research Park this evening and some of our activities and what some of our new initiatives are. The vision of the Research Park is to be a world-class destination for talent and technology and a beacon for the region's knowledge economy. We enable and catalyze economic growth, wealth creation, innovation, and job creation, and we have been delivering on these mandates. These are the key activities at the Research Park. We have our real estate business, which is supported by our anchor tenants and our small business tenants. Our commercialization center, labs and pilot plants, which is the heart of research and commercialization at the park. There's the BIC, which is a partner of ours and many of our clients, and they help to accelerate the commercialization of their technologies to the marketplace. We have a strategic studies and consulting department, which offers professional consulting services. And we support and collaborate with our many partners in the region, including the community, the universities, the colleges, and industry. And I'll touch on many of these areas this evening. The Research Park is currently home to almost 40 tenants and companies, ranging from not-for-profit and startup companies to multinational firms. We have about 1,200 which come to the Research Park site every day, and this number continues to grow. The park provides commercial office space for our small business and our anchor tenants, and this world-class office space is located in each of our 5 buildings, which is surrounded by a park-like setting on 80 acres of land, which is complete with walking paths and natural wildlife. We also offer conference facilities, meeting rooms, and an eat-in cafe for meals, events, and catering. We support the region's local industries by offering industrial project space. Multinational firms and companies use this space to undertake large projects that will benefit their operations as well as the region. They collaborate with their clients on various projects, and they also complete training for personnel prior to plant startup and commissioning. Our 1010 building is what we call the Commercialization Center, and it's focused on entrepreneurship, research and development, and commercialization. And I'll update you on some of our activities now. The Western Research Parks, which not only includes our Sarnia Lambton campus, but also our 2 campuses in London, was honored to be the recipient of the Association of University Research Parks 2016 Outstanding. And this was based on our creation of high-tech economic development, student learning opportunities, and job creation. We were the 21st overall recipient of the award, the 3rd park in Canada and the very first in Ontario. The University Business Incubators, which is a Swedish research company, also ranked the parks internationally and very highly in 2014 and 2015, with the rank of the top 7 park in North America, followed by the top 5th park in 2015. And these were based on our economic contributions to the region by our graduates. So they had a very high success and growth rate following their graduation from the Research Park. Our commercialization center itself is home to almost 30 tenants, and true to its incubation nature, all these tenants are at various stages of the commercialization cycle. A number of our research labs are at the research and development stage. Our pilot plants and small businesses are at the startup stage, and we have had about 10 tenants graduate in the last 3 years. The Commercialization Center not only supports entrepreneurship through our labs and pilot plants, but also through our Small Business Center, which is located on the second floor of the building. We have about 20,000 square feet of small office and open workspace, which are available for entrepreneurs to come in and start up businesses and to grow existing businesses. On the first floor of the Commercialization Center, we have our wet laboratories for tenant research and development activities. We have furniture with a modular setup that allows the researchers to set up based on their research needs, and all of the utilities are engineered to meet their specific equipment requirements. Our wet labs are currently home to Lambton College Technology Access Centers and Centers of Excellence, a spin-off company from Western University, and a private analytical lab. And these are examples of some of the Lambton College centers at the Research Park. We have the Center for Industrial Material Development, which is focused on material development, characterization, and processing. There's the Lambton Water Center, which is focused on water testing and optimization. Bioindustrial Process Lab, which works with the new startup biohybrid cluster to support their bioprocess development. And the Blue Water Technology Access Center, focused on advanced manufacturing. And all these labs at the park work with various industrial clients to support their research and development needs. Dr. Charles Zhu was the chair of forestry biorefining at Western University, and he was a recent graduate of the Research Park. He had a number of master's and PhD students working out of his lab here to develop new products and processes using waste materials from the forestry industry. So he's since graduated and is working to commercialize his research in Thunder Bay, close to his source of feedstock. We also have Dr. Ed Louie at the Research Park, and he's a professor from the Schulich School of Medicine and Dentistry at Western University. And he has a lab and pilot plant facility at the park where he's looking to develop and commercialize new uses for the ginseng root. The Research Park's Canada's largest clean tech incubator with our pilot plant space and associated infrastructure. And the focus of our pilot plant is on the commercialization of products, processes, and fuels. We have both individual and shared pilot plant space. And again, we will engineer the utilities to suit the commercialization operations. And we are excited to be working with some new tenants and hope to have some announcements about these in the near future. These are some of the commercialization pilot plants we currently have at the park. Woodland Biofuels has a demonstration unit, and they are working to prove the concept of their technology and are gasifying wood chips into ethanol. Green Core Composites has a pilot plant, and they are producing a composite pellet using polyethylene and wood fiber to produce this new material, which has uses such as the ejection molding of various components, and have worked with sectors such as the automotive industry. Origin Materials is our most recent pilot plant and have been in the media quite a bit recently. They have just finished building their skid at the pilot plant and are beginning commissioning activities, and the trials done at the Research Park will support their commercial plant, which will be built on Vital Street. And they are taking plastic or chemical sourced entirely from biomass to produce plastics. KMX is a recent graduate of the Research Park. When they moved into the park, they had a membrane technology and were looking to develop new applications for their membrane. And they were very successful in the purification of industrial frack water. So they have actually graduated from the park and are now at their client site in Alberta to further commercialize this membrane. Although they have left the region, they continue their ties here. They continue to work with Lambton College very closely, and their researchers and students are supporting their commercialization activities. We also have strategic studies and consulting for the execution of projects for local governments, businesses, and industry in many sectors in this region. We have a pool of experienced professionals that we call upon when advanced expertise is necessary to complete these studies. The Research Park and our key partners have created a commercialization alliance which uses the strengths of all of our partners to support economic growth in this region. And we will have an announcement on Friday morning to launch this initiative. And the goal of the alliance is to train and attract more talent to the region to build globally recognized technology clusters such as the biohybrid chemical cluster, and to provide better support for technology companies. Along with our Commercialization Alliance, a second initiative that we are creating new opportunities through is Intelligent Sarnia Lambton. Sarnia Lambton was recently named as a Smart 21 community for the 3rd year in a row, and we are currently developing new opportunities to build a smarter and better connected. Intelligent communities involve all members in the area, including government, academia, industry, and community members. And together, we understand the challenges of today's broadband economy and are taking steps to prosper in it. There are 6 main pillars of an intelligent community, which include broadband, the knowledge workforce, innovation, digital equality, sustainability, and advocacy. And by developing these pillars and leveraging the existing assets in the area, we are developing new sectors, and we are beginning to strongly position ourselves in the creative sectors of technology incubators and startups. And together, these will increase economic activity, attract new businesses, attract and retain new talent, and increase property values in the area. And just to summarize here, the Research Park is at record levels of occupancy. We're currently about 94% occupied with about 40 tenants on site. And we continue to develop new programs, partnerships, and collaborations to further support our goal of being a world-class destination for talent, technology development, and commercialization. Our infrastructure and programs have resulted in an expanded research base and new sectors for the region. And we continue to attract new companies along with new jobs and investments to Sarnia Lambton. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing with us the important role that it plays, and congratulations on your new position. We have a little something for you. So thank you again. Sure. Take care. So next on the agenda is our second speaker, which is James Temple. So I have problems with the mic. As PwC Canada's Chief Corporate Responsibility Officer, James oversees and aligns PwC's sustainability mandate within the business strategy to help deepen employee engagement, deliver measurable socioeconomic impacts in the marketplace, and enhance value-based client relationships to help build trust in society and solve important problems. His portfolio oversight includes charitable contributions, volunteering, not-for-profit board matching, environmental stewardship, stakeholder relations, and annual CSR reporting. Considered one of the country's leading voices on corporate social innovation, James has presented seminars at conferences around the world and has been featured in articles and videos for TED, the Globe and Mail, strategy magazines, and Canadian Business. A committed volunteer, he currently sits on not-for-profit committee of CPA Canada's Risk Oversight and Governance Board, and has provided his expertise on fundraising committees for many organizations, including World Wildlife Fund, Gardner Museum, Homes First Foundation. Combined, he has helped raise over $1 million for important social years. Please join us in welcoming James.
Good evening, everyone. And I have to tell you, I'm feeling a bit nostalgic because my family came from the little town of Wallaceburg. And I have a great respect for small and medium-sized enterprise because my great-great-grandfather, Arthur St. Clair Gordon, founded, I should say, the now-defunct Sydenham Glass Company. and the Dominion Sugar Company of Canada, which you'll now know as Redpath Sugar. So through the support of local chambers and the commitment of local support, my family was enabled in many, many different ways. So it's good to be home. So thank you for having me. Now, not so long ago, corporate responsibility and sustainability were seen by most companies as a little more than a peripheral green window dressing, useful for reducing energy or waste consumption, supporting some worthy community causes, and dare I say, something that was hardly seen as anything close to core business. I'm proud that this view is changing. Now, increasingly, companies of all sizes, including many of yours in the room, are having to confront and adapt to a wide range of disruptive forces: globalization, demographic shifts, the millennials, increased competition for raw materials and natural resources, and a revolution in technology which is unparalleled anywhere and anything that we have seen. All you need to do is pick up your cell phones, and by 2020, in fact, PwC suggests that you will have 6.1 digital devices connected to the internet at any one time. It's outstanding. Now, responsible business leadership is moving from the corporate sidelines into the mainstream. All of our businesses are faced with a future of uncertain energy costs, as we've heard about, looming regulation, carbon emissions, concerns around natural resources, water specifically, which we will all know is a great concern for this region. And executive teams are waking up to the realities that success will not only be found by the profits that we make, but how we make the profits in the first place. That will be the competition of the future. At the same time, companies are coming under greater scrutiny, both large and small, in the world of how you conduct yourselves, vis-a-vis societal expectation, but also critically, the personal leadership styles in which we choose to conduct ourselves. Politics aside, we've seen many, many case examples over the last few months of where choices we make as leaders day to day, and those leadership choices we've made in the past can become very real in a variety of different ways. Now, fueled in part by the explosion of social networking, the immediate consumption of breaking news or fake news, events, consumers, NGOs, the media, and employees are holding companies to account in a whole range of issues that we've never even thought about. Thinking about treatment of workers, sourcing and quality of products, tax payments and tax morality, as well as broader corporate culture that transcends a large multinational all the way to what we do day to day, whether we have 2 to 4 employees. And I am proud to look around the room, and I saw the list of folks attending, that there are many not-for-profit leaders in the room, and I commend you for adding your voice to the chamber. Now, as part of PwC's annual CEO survey, we spoke to CEOs across Canada to obtain their perspective on a variety of different items, and I wanted to share a little bit about what we learned. Canadian CEOs told us that they're looking seriously at how to grow their businesses in non-traditional ways, a key theme to what we heard here in Canada, but also globally. From restructuring and finding more effective ways to conduct work, 80% of Canadian CEOs expect to enter new strategic alliances and joint ventures over the next year, compared to just 51% of their global counterparts. This is significant. There's little doubt that competition is growing in Canada, but what's unique is where the competition's coming from. In fact, only 14% of Canadian CEOs do not expect to see significant competitors from outside their industry emerging. But this increased competitiveness is promoting Canadian business to look beyond their industry for new ventures and opportunities, with over a third, 36% of Canadian CEOs having entered a new industry within the past 3 to 5 years. I think as we reflect as small to medium-sized business, how our companies may continue to evolve, or for ourselves, the many careers we'll have within a lifetime, speaks very close to home, no matter where our community is. Now, Canadian business leaders are also finding real value in the way digital allows us to improve efficiencies and make decisions and reach new and existing customer bases. In fact, 84% of all Canadian CEOs believe mobile technologies for customer engagement are strategically important. Now, I like to say that's probably the duh factor, because this is not new to those in the room. However, there's an awakening of the inherent risks, cybersecurity, the speed of technological change, as well as how to invest thoughtfully in technologies when sectors or geographies are playing catch up. There are no right answers, but we know that the feeling of being behind is very real. Creating a culture of innovation using broad skill sets to an ever-changing demands of the market isn't easy, and we know that. Diversity is seen as a component of talent management, with over 66% of Canadian CEOs saying their company has a diversity and inclusion strategy in place. However, as a leader in this particular field and working in this day-to-day, we have a lot of work to do. Now, where I want to focus the discussion is that over 86% of CEOs are already responding to changing stakeholder expectations. And they're making changes to how they measure their impacts and how they hold themselves accountable for the choices they make. Why is this important? 80% say that they're making changes to minimize negative social implications for their core services, including potential environmental challenges. One must only look to the insurance industry and some of the flooding down the road to think about the immense impact that that would have, not only on a large insurance provider, but on many, many local businesses. Are we prepared? The findings underline the important role that I believe as a leader and we as leaders need to take in understanding the concept of corporate purpose. Now, why corporate purpose? Simply put, it's the North Star that guides all of the choices we make as leaders, that transcends every aspect of our business down to the day-to-day work that our employees do for, with, and together for the business to succeed. It's about demonstrating a commitment to responsible business practices if we're doing it right, because our businesses will not be sustainable in the long run if they do not reflect what society expects. Look to the US. A group of incredibly passionate students are taking on the National Rifle Association. You cannot count the number of businesses on two hands which have made conscious choices against the NRA. What the glory of that choice is it's not necessarily based in the choice of the business, but it's hitting the pocketbook and the bottom line. And that, my friends, is a sea change that will happen and will continue to happen. Now, I realize that a lot of this thinking may provide a 50,000-foot view of the conversation, but there is practical implication for everyone in the room today. Purpose, in its broadest sense, helps to frame out accountabilities. It's what we all must take as leaders to look inside ourselves, to do the right thing, and to be catalysts for change. These accountabilities include our day-to-day interactions and our behaviors, how we conduct ourselves, understanding our blind spots, our unconscious bias, and by embracing an approach to how we embed good social, environmental, and economic integrity into every leadership decision that we make. By understanding and connecting your individual purpose critically to the purpose of your business, however you define it, will give you a mindful awareness on how to make better leadership choices and lead to profitable growth. Now, I've highlighted a cautiously optimistic, typical PwCer view of the world, but I want to talk a little bit about what purpose-driven leadership can look like and do three tangible takeaways that each of us can implement tomorrow in our businesses. And I'd like to highlight leadership and management practices, number one. Number two, talent strategies. And number three, communications. It's something that any size business needs to think about. Let's dig into this. These pillars are drivers on how the concept, I believe, in corporate responsibility also manifests in your day-to-day work. So by defining, for example, the right mix of leadership and management practices that any business requires to be successful today and in the future, requires us to frame new ideas and innovations in ways that are complementary and supportive to our business strategies. This is not creating net new, it's not creating more better with what we've got today. It's about your courage. You speak up and you stand by the tough decisions with integrity, and you do not make excuses on why change can't take place. Two powerful words. Why not? Endeavor to not find an answer for that so you can keep moving forward. This includes commitments to looking ahead at sustainable long-term growth for your business, which also reflects the dynamicism of how the world's changing around us. I liken this to driving a car down the highway at 100 kilometers an hour. You're focused forward, but you glance in the rearview mirror, not vice versa. Now, I would also ask you to think about the current era of disengaged, transient talent and how businesses are challenged from multiple directions, and we heard about some policy shifts that are going on provincially to keep pace with growing demand, but also deal with issues ranging from youth unemployment to the challenges of what the workforce expects. Millennials, and I'll speak to that, I'm still one, by example, are direct in their demand for purposeful companies. In our Millennials at Work survey, we showed that 60% of millennials will choose to work for an organization that shares their values, values being critical. What might shock you is that if a millennial walks in the door of your organization and finds out that those values are not what you said and your leadership is not walking the walk, they're out the door. Think about your cost to acquire. Incredibly big mistake, but a really easy fix when you think about guiding with what makes you who you are every day. Now, lastly, when we think about communication, stories are even more relatable when they're delivered personally. Like my family and the Sydenham Glass Company, now defunct, or our Dominion Sugar, and my connection to Chatham-Kent and Sarnia and Lambton County, a good communication strategy will start with how you articulate what's so important to you. And again, this isn't rocket science, but it's good to remember that each of us within ourselves has the ability to do this right. The more pronounced among millennials we can be engaging with social media, showing who we are, and what makes us unique and special as leaders will help. Last week on LinkedIn, I posted a video working out at the gym because I was a member of the month. And although none of you will know me, I'm not very sporty, so to me this was a big deal. To most, they'd roll their eyes. But I received a lot of comments from clients to say, wow, you're human. And I thought, should have done this a long time ago. But it's those eureka moments and the simple things that you can do to communicate and show what makes you a great leader and relevant that can, again, be quite transformational. When it comes to testimonials and leaders' views, societal value of products and services is critical. Employees want definitively human approaches to leadership messages, company-sponsored events. We don't want greenwashing. We don't want the party line. Use words that are cool and hip. Be okay with making a mistake and tripping over yourself, because the more real you are, the more relevant and authentic your leadership message will be. Leaders should give employees across all levels the chance to connect with their decisions and understand how purpose and why your business exists, that North Star, is woven into the choice of your decision architecture, your pursuits, and perhaps most importantly, how purpose drives what your business will not pursue and why. So whether you're the day-to-day tax accountant at PwC, or you're working at a small to medium-sized enterprise, knowing how your job connects up to strategy and up to why your business exists will be incredibly motivating for those around you. All said, leaders who are purely focused on market value miss the opportunity. You're losing money by doing that. By self-reflecting and identifying on the gaps presented as an opportunity and responsibility, most importantly for leaders to approach purpose, you can look at that holistically, optimize value for employees, your shareholders, stakeholders, and no matter the size or the scope of your business, get a win-win-win. But where do we go from here? The world is full of complexities, but we have an opportunity to look at the discussion and perhaps a few of my remarks today as a way to go well beyond a conversation around purpose, leadership, waste reduction programs, which I know are critical here, because it's table stakes. These are things that we need to know we're already doing well, and if we're not, to have a good look in the mirror and figure out why and what we're going to do about it by tomorrow. There is no more time. At its best, corporate social responsibility and a good corporate social responsibility mindset is embedded into all of your leadership and management practices. The way you communicate, your talent strategies, and most importantly, how you govern yourselves and your organizations. Now, in terms of issues and practices that are most material to your stakeholders, yes. Whether your business has been around for 2 years or 20 years, or you're a large oil and gas company operating in a region, it will look and feel very different. But remember that corporate purpose provides you with a North Star for decision making. Good corporate responsibility begins with an honest conversation about how our businesses are keeping pace with society, and dare I say it starts at home. And for many of you with kids in the room, you will know that philanthropy starts at home as well. The big question for each of us today is, do we feel proud about how well our organizations are growing? Where on the continuum of values do our personal values align with those of our business? How many choices can we reflect on that we went home and thought, oh, we could have done a redo on that? Let's get that out of the equation. Choose to be part of the solution, showcase responsible leadership in action, and show courageousness by asking for help and support if you don't know. Organizations like the Sarnia Lambton Chamber of Commerce are incredible vehicles for support, a diversity of thought, and a way to grow together. I challenge each of you to join me on that journey of good leadership. I welcome your questions, and I thank you for the opportunity today. Thank you.
There you are. I'll get out of the way.
Thank you so much. I have a little something for you. Thank you so much for bringing us that insight. I'm sure you've given us a lot to think about. Here you go.
So sweet. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, James. I wasn't sure if anybody had any questions for both our guests. We kind of like didn't ask it right after. Were there any questions out there? I'll then pass the mic to Ryan Bell. Correction, I'm real. It's Charles Fisher.
We tag team, it's okay. One of us will get up here. So that's our show for this evening. We'd like to thank you for supporting the Chamber. Again, be engaged. If we can do something to help you, let us know. If we're doing something right, tell us. If we're doing something wrong, tell us. But more importantly, ask everyone else in your networks locally and abroad to be involved as well. I mean, there's lots of issues we'd like to help with, whether it's nonprofits, business startup, or helping our existing industry grow. It's all about creating a better business environment for us all. Thank you very much for this evening. One caution of note, the new board directors and the whole board, if we could get you up front so you could get your pins and we could get a picture, that would be great. I please encourage everyone to mingle, but that conducts the business for tonight. But I need a motion to close. I got JD will give me a motion, and Helen's standing, so go for it, Helen.
Helen Cole and Company. I move that the meeting be adjourned.
Seconder? Second. Oz, JD Booth. All in favor? Thank you for coming. Bye. Oh.